Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn disease, your sip of chaga coffee. I am doing a live Q&A today about silver and crypto in-game stuff. It should be fun. It should be very fun. Come check me out. It's at noon Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time on the Road to Ruta channel. There's a link below this video, a link below to the live stream that starts at high noon Pacific time. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Amy will moderate, meaning you can ask questions in the chat room, and she'll try to get to as many as she can over to me. Don't act like a jackass, or she'll delete you from the chat. So be respectful. My wife is going to be monitoring you. But it should be fun. It should be a great time. Lots to talk about, obviously, in silver, in cryptos, in the changeover, in the crash, in the how's it all going to go down. Don't forget, in the Road to Ruta documents, there are 65 unanswered questions. Yeah, that was originally written in 1981. So for 70 years, the U.S. has been planning this. 70 years of planning into what happens after the dollar dies, the fiat monetary system implodes. By the way, the dollar can't die, and all the other fiat money systems continue to function perfectly. That's not how the game is set up. I'm sorry, those people thinking that the BRICS gold is going to be the savior of the East and the U.S. will lose all its power. The U.S. can destroy the BRICS, every single BRICS currency with the click of a mouse. Remember that. They can destroy hell, they put the price of oil to minus $40. You don't think they can destroy the yuan or the ruble or anything that is traded on these derivative exchanges? So just keep that in mind. It is a game. We are playing that game. There is a plan, but the plan is not set in stone. Absolutely not. The Road to Ruta documents go pretty deep into that. There are just too many questions to ask. Like, will mines be nationalized? If we have to go to a gold and silver standard, back to our Constitution, who's going to be owning the mines? What about foreign ownership of a U.S. mine, or vice versa? U.S. Investor ownership of a Mexican mine? That's like laughable on the face of it, for various reasons. So come check out the discussion. It'll be good. And yes, we'll talk about XRP and absolutely Theta and Theta Fuel, Litecoin, Reggie Middleton. We can talk about it all. Come check it out at high noon today. All right, let's talk about what's going on right now. Great article was posted, kind of a summary of things we've been talking about for 10 years on the Road to Ruta, called Analysis of the Mint's American Silver Eagle Production. This is on the private part of Zero Hedge, if you remember, but there's links to it. Go to Goldfix, and Michael Lynch is the author. It's interesting. Obviously, everything that the Road to Ruta has talked about is in here. He left out quite a few things, in my opinion. Number one, the hedge book, the U.S. Mint hedge book on the Eagle program, on the silver program. They can't hedge gold. They do hedge silver, and in 2021, he does go into the Wall Street bets, Wall Street silver time frame in 2021, but he doesn't mention the number one thing that I think is the most important thing there, is that the U.S. Mint lost $112 million on their hedge book because they did not close out the hedges as they sold the silver, because it would have jacked the price over $30. So it was all hands on deck, and the consequence of them not selling off the individual hedges as they sold the metal, which is the only thing they're supposed to do, as a consequence of that, they lost $112 million in 2021, the fiscal year. So that's a big point. He does go into Ventris Gibson. This was on the Joe Biden watch. We're headed for another one of these moments. Yes, the U.S. silver Eagle used to be the number one coin in the world. Ventris Gibson saw it so that they aren't being produced now even close to demand. my discussion with the head of Silver Eagle sales at the U.S. Mint. Go check that out. All you have to do is go to Road to Ruta. It's 3 parts. And he basically gives up the ghost, says, no, we were told not to make coins equal to demand. We were told specifically to make coins as least amount of coins as possible. And that was, Jack Sermon told me that, the head of Silver Eagle Sales. So it's all right there. If you guys want my free updates, go to roadtoruta.com, put your name and email address in here. And I send some out almost daily, just about daily, sometimes twice a day, sometimes I'll skip a few days. So go check that out. Very important stuff. But again, check out this article at Zero Hedge. Go to Goldfix. I think it's free at Goldfix. So yeah, it's a pretty good summary. It basically says everything that we're saying. There's a huge silver deficit. Silver is bleeding from every orifice in the physical world. Every storage area other than the Sprott one is bleeding metal, and silver is coming out of Sprott, by the way. It's rare, but it does. There can be people looking for silver wherever they can find it. And, of course, we have a jump. Today is Wednesday. All week I've been saying this. Watch, when Tuesday's over, watch Wednesday for the action. And here we have it. This all has to do with the riggers playing with the Commitment of Traders report, which basically shows the game that they're playing. Ted Butler pointed out, and everybody pointed out, that the last week's report showed clearly that the commercials, in order to stop the price of silver from going over $25, had to short 120 million ounces naked shorting of 120 million ounces, and now they're trying to cover it. So after the Wednesday cutoff last week, they started slamming the price of silver, and you can see it in the charts very easily. There it is. 5 days ago, it was right here. They started slamming it, and that's what they do. They slam the price so that they can cover and try to cover on lower amounts, but it looks like they're having problems. Now, if you were going up against the criminal cabal, the market riggers, and you had a hell of a lot of money, maybe even unlimited money, when would be the best time to buy be? When would you get the most silver for the cheapest price? When they're trying to hold the price down, right? So right now, beginning of the next reporting week, they're trying to hold that price down. So somebody's buying a lot of silver contracts going forward. Now, the only chance these guys have is to keep shorting. So what are we going to see? A massive short? Usually they'll cover on this move, but I don't think they can cover enough. And this is the beauty of this. It will come out in Friday's report. How many they were able to cover. My guess was 30 million ounces, which is 6,000 contracts. But again, they went short 120 million ounces. Yeah, 120 million ounces. So they're way behind, and now we got somebody buying right here. Is it them trying to cover? I don't know. But the beauty is we'll find out on the next Friday report. Now, they can click a mouse and drive it to zero. If this is the U.S. government participating in this specific rig job, of course they can set the price to zero on the derivative market. And that's the big problem around the world, is the derivatives and the debt. And debt is just another derivative, by the way. So, yeah, really exciting times. We're going to see games between now and Tuesday. And then a new game starts on Wednesday, and it's the same old bullshit. But I do like seeing it. I always love seeing when silver looks like, oh, boy, the good guys are beating the bad guys. This is just computer programs rigging the price back and forth. That's all it is. But I do like it, because if the good guys want to get as much silver as possible for the least price, now's the time to do it. And if you're looking to take out the bad guys, like I think they have been since July 4th, my birthday, by the way, right in here, July 4th, that's when all this action started going up. I think it's going to keep going up until at least September 11th into October. When it hits $30, that'll be really interesting. Should be in August, maybe September. And then what happens between $30 and $50? It's been so long since we've been there. Let's take a look how long. It's been right in $30 I don't think it was breached in 2020. Nope. So it's been since 2013 that we've been over 30 bucks. Remember, we're still below the 1980 all-time high, over 50 years ago. That's insane. That is insane. And if you dig into what the Hunt brothers were doing, they only made one mistake, and that mistake was playing in the derivative market. That's what destroyed them. But yeah, they were trying to save America, and it failed. Then Warren Buffett tried to do it in the late 90s. Failed again because the bad guys came in and said, hey, Warren, we're going to bust you for these other crimes you're committing with General Re unless you give us your 130 million ounces of silver, and we can start something called the SLV, which is another market rigging tool. So that's where we are. A lot of insanity going on. As a matter of fact, we had another exchange for physical 3.5 million ounces. This is getting ridiculous. It's like every day you buy it on the COMEX and you take delivery over in London. At some point, we're going to run out of silver. Absolutely. I don't know what that day is, but on that day, the price of silver will go from $25 to, you name the price, $600. It was what Cliff had in his data, and that's kind of a jump-off point. I'm not going to jump off at 600. What would I go into? Maybe cryptos, yeah. I buy some cryptos, but I'm not looking really at price. I'm looking at the gold-silver ratio. Gold-silver ratio has to come back to something at least close to normal. And right now it's coming out of the ground at 7 to 1. 7 to 1. It's the gold-silver ratio is at 80 to 1 right now. So 7 to 1, I'll start thinking. But when you start thinking about it, you know that 60% of all the silver that's mined in that 7 to 1 ratio is used in the industrial side. So maybe it should be 3 to 1, because that would be investable silver. The leftover silver that's left for us poor investors. 60% goes into the industrial side. So that's a 3 to 1 ratio. And then you think about, well, why would we count what they're mining today? Why won't we count all the silver that's above ground versus all the gold that's above ground? And that's a 1 to 1 ratio. And then you can even add on to that. And that add-on would be all the secret silver mines all over the world. And secret gold mines all over the world. Secret gold stashes all over the world. Jim Sinclair had been talking about the Chinese pulling out 2,000 tons every year for like 20 years. And that's not even close to what they report. So I do think there's millions of tons of silver. Of gold. I keep saying silver. Of gold. And what would that do to the gold-silver ratio? Remember, we don't need gold. Gold is for, sticking in a vault somewhere. We don't need gold. Well, if you're a true gold money kind of guy, yeah, you need gold as money. So it will serve its purpose as money, or a store of value. I do think, even though there's millions of tons of gold instead of the 200,000 tons of gold, I still think gold is going to double, triple, quadruple as compared to other fiat money. But everything is screaming maybe 1 to 10 ratio silver to gold. So each ounce of silver will be worth 10 times the value of the gold. If we want to move into a high-tech future, yeah, that's what we need. We need a hell of a lot of silver. And that's why there's massive silver deficits every year and getting bigger and bigger. They're not pulling more silver out of the ground. And they're not recycling much more silver because the price is too low for the recycling even. At some point, the power of a free market will take over, and it'll be really ugly for those people who are short silver, obviously. But it'll look really scary to the rest of the world. Why did silver go from $25 to $600 in a blink of an eye? Those are the questions that will be asked. We'll talk more about that at noon on live stream. All right. Little interesting play right here. 95,000 ounces of silver were bought and demanded right away from Bank of America. Bank of America, of course. And then Wells Fargo needed, 35,000 ounces of silver. These transactions don't take place usually. Why do they go into the COMEX, they buy it and take delivery today? The only entity that had it is an ADM customer. Stuff like this doesn't happen usually. Interesting. But keep an eye on that. Again, exchange for physical is pretty big. Again, we're going to go over 100 million ounces delivered from the COMEX, shipped it over to the LBMA, I think this month. And remember, the first half of the month, there was almost zero. There was like nothing happening. And all of a sudden, the 13th or 14th, it just exploded. It will continue to see that because obviously the COMEX is broken. And those wanting silver know not to go on the COMEX. That's what screwed the Hunt brothers. That's what screwed Warren Buffett even. If you play with silver in their own game, you're going to screw you. So keep an eye on that. Okay, there's a meeting of the CFTC. The CFTC is the regulator for silver, one of the most half dumb and half corrupt. Half dumb and half corrupt. I remember some regulators that I had exchanges with back in the day. Just the guy, Mr. Magoo, Michael Dunn, the world's dumbest human, was a regulator on the CFTC. They actually, when he left office, as all regulators do, they go to one of the people they helped out and get paid the millions of dollars. So he went to the DTCC, the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, and he was in charge of a vault at 55 Water Street. Yes, Michael Dunn was in charge of the vault at 55 Water Street that was left open during Hurricane Sandy, flooding $33 trillion worth of paper assets. Isn't that crazy? 33 trillion. It's like every paper asset that had ever been written for the last 2,000 years was in that vault. And it flooded. Not only did it flood, it took them, I think, 28 days to pump out the vault at 55 Water Street, and then they set it on fire. I am not shitting you. That's exactly what happened. And this guy, Michael Dunn from the CFTC, was put in charge of that vault right before that happened. And oh, by the way, they transferred all the gold and silver swaps from the CFTC storage location to that vault. That's how deep these crimes go. They go damn deep. Anyway, Rustin Benham is holding a meeting today. There's 4 things on the agenda, 4 ways to work your way around and get a framework for rigging, a framework to hide shit. That's what Rustin Benham's job is. And today they are either, 1 final rule and 3 notices of proposed rulemaking. Every single rule on the COMEX is designed to keep the structure together. This with Scotch tape. This is the Scotch tape between the cracks. Oh, we have a new rule that one of the rules that one commissioner has made a statement about it saying, I don't support anything. Rustin said, I'm going to support all these. Christy Goldsmith Romero, who didn't come from a bank, said, I don't support any of these. But the big one is the bottom. She says, where is it? Lastly, is a proposal that would provide relief from certain initial margin requirements for swap dealers for affiliated seed funds and to expand the use of money market funds as eligible collateral. She says, I can't get behind that. That's what fucked us up in the 2008 crash. So she axed every single one, and Rustin Benham said, oh, I support every single one. Good old Christy Romero. By the way, Christy Romero, they're using you. Don't let them get away with it. Call them on their bullshit. And don't let them put Scotch tape on something that's completely broken. You're going to get the blame for it. I don't care if you voted pro or against. You're going to get the blame. You personally. The CFTC commissioners are going to be strung up in front of Congress and just humiliated when this thing falls apart. Not that Congress is any better, though, right? Anyway, really interesting stuff at the CFTC. Again, their job, the job of the CFTC, this version of it was created in the early 1970s when Alan Greenspan implemented the first computer banking programs and then the first trading, aka rigging programs, in the early 1970s. That's where Root A comes from. It's a Fortran programming, kind of a tree root system. Those of you who program know what the root system for computers is. You go from here and you go here, below all that. It's called a root structure. That's where root A comes from. And root A is the number one thing right at the top. So you have Route A, and then you have checking, savings, home loans, blah, 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 and then all the stuff below that. And that's where Road to Route comes from, as told through the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, who was, they were in charge of those rigging programs that Alan Greenspan wrote, and they were implemented by a guy named Stephen Duveau. Stephen Duveau was an expert computer programmer in the 70s, along with Alan Greenspan. Yeah, that's where the origins of computer market rigging began, and the CFTC had to be built because it had to be implemented to run cover for the computer rigging. And that's what's happened. It's easy. That's how you sum it up. All right, that's what I got. Again, at 12 noon Pacific time, we will be talking silver, crypto, and in-game scenarios at roadtoroot.com. I will put the link right below this video in the description. So make sure you go check us out at 12 noon, 3 o'clock Eastern time. All right? That's all I got for you. Also, beforehand, listen to the actual discussion I had with the head of Silver Eagle Sales, Jack Sherman. And you'll get an idea of the road to root of theories. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. There are people behind the scenes working to help America and people behind the scenes working to destroy America. And this battle is ongoing. I believe the good guys are winning, but that does not believe there's going to be a smooth transition. That means there will be a chaotic transition, as in you're going to lose everything you don't have in your own possession very soon. So go check that out. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.